introduction. Good morning. Good morning, dear friends, fellow Rotarians. It's such a pleasure to be here with Rotarians of Madurai. Rotary has been so much part and parcel of my life ever since I was 22 years old. In between, for the past 27 years, in between about, say, 7 years when I had a stint, I lived in Coimbatore, I wasn't a Rotarian. Otherwise, all through, Rotary has been part and parcel of my life. My father had brought us up to be independent thinkers, and so we had our own strong ideas and opinions, and he allowed us to grow that way. So thanks to him for making us strong individuals. And he introduced me to the Sri Aravind ashram. Probably that's why I'm named Aravind. And my introduction to Sri Aravind ashram made me look into Sri Arabindo's philosophy, which also dealt with, which is the integral yoga that he practiced. So I started at a very young age wondering what is integral yoga. Yoga by itself is self-development, and integral yoga is holistic self-development. So what is holistic self-development was, as a curious child, now maybe we won't do all that, but as children, when you go deeper into all that, I realized and I discovered that there are several planes and parts of our being which we are not aware of otherwise. It is there, but we don't realize it. It is like, switch a pota, fan sutto, and then the kaathu varum. We take that breeze for granted, but we don't know it is invisible. How is it in Allah? We don't think that way. So like that, there are so many pressures, planes, parts in our being. And the Sri Aravindo believed in these planes and parts of the being, and he, I started exploring into how they've categorized it. And I had the good opportunity to meet a world-renowned psychiatrist who came and settled down as a member of the ashram, Mr. Dr. Dalal. And he has put together, compiled a work of the mother of the ashram, and I got to read a very interesting book called Planes and Parts of Your Being, called Powers Within. And in that, the mother and Sri Aravindo talk about several parts being, which majorly, I think, such as the intellectual plane, the physical plane, the emotional plane, the mental plane, the psychological plane, etc. So they're asking us to deal with all that and to develop all that, because we know many human beings who are very, very good in one field, mainly in the field of art, if you take. They'll be very high in one level, but when they, as personalities, they may be very, very, underdeveloped. They may be eccentrics. They won't be able to, they wouldn't have looked into any other area of their personality. They'll be focusing on one area. So that is not considered a holistic development. So when I looked into holistic development, then I came to know, when we talk about so many planes, we are all well versed, very, very, there's one plane which is very, very popular and very, very, well known to all of us. We all address that when we want our children to do well. Which is the plane do you think that we all address? What is your thing? The most popular what people keep talking about, especially in today's materialistic world, when making money is almost everything. And one has to keep running to stay where we are, like as if we are in a treadmill. People are talking about the intelligent, the mental plane. One part of the mental plane, which is the intelligence. So we're going on talking about the intelligence quotient, the IQ. The child is made to have an IQ test. Even Rohan, in your school, I think IQ test. You don't have something called an EQ test, no? We should develop something like that. So when it comes to that, we are going on thinking about the intelligence, and we leave out the emotions of children. Children today are becoming more and more, rather than saying children, people are becoming more and more remorselessness is creeping into our society, because we're not handling emotions properly, and emotions are there whether we like it or not. And if we leave it unattended, they eat you up. They completely destroy you if that Shakti which is inside you is not properly channelized. So, according to me, of all the planes of our being, the emotional plane is the most important. And why is it most important? And what is it? What is the emotional plane? It is most important because that is what makes us successful. That is the plane which helps us handle our problems in life and come out of all our issues. So it is equally important to have our emotional equilibrium as much as or even more than the intelligent quotient. A person with less intelligence and more street smartness is definitely a survivor. So what is this emotional quotient or emotional intelligence? Emotional intelligence, otherwise known as EQ, is the ability to understand, use and manage your own emotions in positive ways to relieve stress, communicate effectively, empathize with others, overcome challenges, and diffuse conflict. Emotional intelligence helps you build stronger relationships, succeed at school and work, and achieve your career and personal goals. It can also help you to connect with people and their feelings and turn intentions into actions. People with a very good EQ are definitely action-oriented people. They'll have good ideas, concepts, the next minute they'll get into action. I've seen that with a lot of successful people. I can even drop names, I can quote, for example, Mr. Arut Chelvar, Mr. Pollachi Mahalingam, who's founded ABT and all that. I would say, is a person with a lot of EQ. He'll have one idea, next morning we come there, the plan will be ready to execute. I remember a discussion on the textile mills are not doing well and the property right there on the main road. What can we do? We can make a colony, this, that, they were discussing. And next morning we come and he used people in his college and there was a gated community plan ready. He said, yeah, we'll do this, we'll pull down, take away that mill that's on the main road, he converted it to that. See, he was already in action. Within 24 hours, everything was ready. So, you see, that confidence, that gut feeling comes out of his high level of emotional quotient. It can also help us make informed decisions about what happens, what matters the most to you. So what is the outcome? What are the 4 main points that we have to deal with when we deal with EQ? One is EQ. If we are planning to work on it, we'll have to look at how well we self-manage ourselves. You're able to control your impulsive feelings and behavior, manage your emotions in a healthy way, take initiatives, follow through on commitments and adapt to changing circumstances. How well are you equipped towards all that? If you can see that, then that means you will be able to assess your emotional intelligence, and you will be able to get a correct picture of your EQ. Then the next is your self-awareness, the second point. You recognize your own emotions and how they affect you. See, you have to be very honest to yourself. You have to look at yourself in a very unbiased way. It's very difficult. Most of us don't do it. Our egos don't allow us to do that. We always give us a long rope, and we don't, whatever we do, we sort of kind of justify. Same thing when another person does. All that we shouldn't do. And how they affect our thoughts and behavior, and we should know our strengths and weaknesses. Again, I'm thinking of my father. He's a person who sort of didn't even look at his strengths. He was going on looking at his weaknesses, and he was staying away from that. That was the reason why he was successful. He was, I would say that. This is something which I learned from him. And definitely, social awareness. You have empathy. Your heart goes out to people. You want to do something more meaningful to society. You definitely pitch in on making a better world in your own small way, if your EQ is there. So when we are developing EQ, we can take up something small and we can keep doing that. What you feel comfortable. And also, when we connect with people, relationship management is the 4th point. You know how to develop and maintain good relationships. You communicate very clearly. You inspire and influence others. You work well in a team and manage conflict. By doing all this and improving on our EQ, definitely it has a strong impact on our physical health also, our intelligence, IQ also. I was very surprised to see that, because emotions are help us helps the brain to secrete an enzyme which is a pleasure-seeking enzyme, which is pleasure is an emotion, and also it helps us get more of dopamine in the brain. And all this happens if our EQ is, kept under control. So it definitely has an impact on your physical health, your mental health, and your relationships, and your social intelligence. So EQ is definitely one up with other countries as far as India is concerned. Because our forefathers, our ancestors, our elders have been so advanced, and they have been, looking into all these areas of life and catered to the most, sensitive areas where we can see that because there's so much of spiritual development in our society, and also there is so much of development of art and culture. All this comes where there is emotion and where there is emotions that are channelized. So definitely that is precisely why we are a much more cultured society. I mean, all what I've been saying till now, if you realize, I have not said what will happen if you don't have, I mean, the negative part of it, but definitely to make our understanding better, I'll have to quote. See, today in a very big superpower like America, life is very nice when it comes to making money. See, that is where they are winning. But when it comes to socializing, when it comes to social interactions, when it comes to being non-self-centered, unselfish actions, I think it is of a different level. It is not in par with their intellectual development, their money-making development. This is a very small area which they attend to. And so their EQ levels, their balance emotionally is not there. So we see a lot of crazy things happening in America, which makes us wonder why. Like my son was studying in Pennsylvania. In his college, suddenly one person just rammed into a bar in his car and took a gun and he shot everybody in the bar. And then he went took the reverse the car. He's a policeman. He reversed and he went into one house in random where there was an old man sitting in his house quietly. What else can he do? So he just ran his car into that house and then he just shot him also. And then he shot himself also and he died. So this sort of things are totally unheard of in India, at least in recent times. See, people have their own way of unwinding themselves. That concept of unwinding itself, so many ways and means. We have even in school, we have our extracurricular activities, our games, which really helps us unwind ourselves, burn out our energy and gain a sense of equilibrium, which is very, very important. Areas like, as he said, even in Chinmaya Mission and in TAC, there is a lot of art and culture into which we have delved into, and even my personal trust helps. The idea is to take art and culture to the core country of Tamil Nadu. One of the trusts, Lalita Charities is one, LAMPS is to take it to core countries where it's becoming an impossibility today. Because, everybody are wanting to make money. And unfortunately, most people think money lies in Madras. So, I remember even as a child, there was much more opportunity in Madurai when we lived here. All of them, when I go there and see, most of them are away in Madras. So, my concept of LAMPS is to bring these people back and to send them, we are much better off. There are remote places like Tiruvarur, core areas like Karur, Kambam, Managarkoil, etc., where there are totally no one to teach. And there are a lot of people to learn. Still, our core country of Tamil Nadu has a lot of something called a way of life. We are not clamoring, we are not running madly, we are not yet the neurotic society that the metros are. So, when there is a quiet way of life and a lot of people to learn, the givers are less in the interior parts. So, we are trying to work on a balance in that area so that we can help out in the emotional quotient, EQ of everybody, because EQ helps in our self-esteem and our self, which reflects on our self-respect, and the self-respect reflects on our self-confidence and helps us succeed in whatever we take up and make ourselves and our world a beautiful world. And before I conclude on this subject, I would like to quote on a poem that Bharatiyar has written on this, which we may not have seen it on those eyes. He says, having mere intelligence, எப்படி இருக்குதுன்னா, it is like a girl who's very beautiful, who comes up to the stage to give a Veena performance, and everybody are sitting waiting to see the Veena, to hear the concert. She comes and she tunes the Veena, and everybody are all set for the concert to start, and she lifts the Veena and she flings it, and then she walks away. So it is as strange a situation as it is. So he quotes by saying that, "Oh Parashakti, why have you given me such an intelligent mind? And why have you not given us the ability to balance our emotions? Please, I pray to you to give us as much awareness to manage our emotional intelligence as our intellectual intelligence also." He says, "நல்லதோர் வீணை செய்து அதை நலம் கெட புழுதியில் எறிவதுமே சொல்லடி சிவசக்தி என்னை சுடர்மிகும் அறிவுடன் படைத்து விட்டார்." ஸோ ஒரு பக்கம் அறிவு மேல் நோக்கி போகையில, உணர்ச்சிகள் கீழ் நோக்கி இருக்கையில, அதை நல்ல விதமாக நம்ம வகைப்படுத்துறது is very, very important, and that's what EQ is all about. And I hope and wish and pray that this talk is, strikes a chord in all of you, and you sparks something in you to instigate your own inner development. Thank you very much, and I really thank Jnanaguhan. One can never say no to him. So I thank you all, and it has been a real pleasure to be here and address all of you on a Sunday morning. Thank you very much.
There is a request from our last person, Mr. Manohar, to talk something about your club. Keywords.
The Rotary Club of Madras has been, I think, one of the the second oldest club in India. So we have been, I think, there for almost 80 years. More than that.
Must be 90.
So we are going to almost come to the century, and we've had eminent people in our club in the past. We've got the Chettinad Raja was our member, Annamlai Chettiar, this MAM was there, Mr. N. Malingam was there. Now we've got people like Ms. Malika Srinivasan, who's a member, and for almost 75 years or 80 years we've been meeting at the same hall, at the same hotel. That is another very interesting part. At the Connemara we've been meeting, so it is really prestigious. It's not only prestigious, I would say, we had a policy of not having any fellowship, no drinking, so, and there's no non-vegetarian, and it has been lunch meetings on working days when we have more than 200 members, all of them attend. There has been very good participation, and now with Connemara having gone through renovation, we shifted to Hayat after all these decades. So now we meet in our old Abbotsbury Kalyana Mandapam, which is now Hayat at Mount Road, and we've had several large projects. We've done a lot of lake restorations, water body restorations, and we have our own Boys Town Society, and we have a Rotary Nagar where we, there's a lot of tailoring, other activities going on there for the women empowerment, and Boys Town Society, we have almost 90 boys, I think, there, and so that is near Red Hills. So it's a very powerful, very good society, very good club, which has been amazingly kept alive and keeps going. And when I joined there, I was so surprised to see a lot of our Maduraites there who have been keeping it active. I was feeling so much at home to find our VNCT's daughter-in-law Geeta was there. I mean, we all became members around the same time. Mr. Manimarian's daughter was there. Biswajit Babu has been there. So, like that, many of us, Mr. Raj Savanagam was there. So, a lot of our Maduraites are in the club. So, it was amazing to be there. I think I joined in the year 2010. 2010 or 11, I think. So, ever since then, I've been, it's been 10 years. So, I've become part and parcel of that. Though I have one foot in Madurai, I make it a point to go there, and it is, we've had very interesting people to talk. So that's what it is about our club.
What's your subscription?
Lastly, I think we've paid something like 38,000 or 40,000. And I think that's because 4,000 rupees goes to the Boys Town Society, something like that they've got. So it comes to roughly that much, because we meet at Hyatt every week. We have one 5-star lunch 4 times a month for almost 200 people. So that is, and it's an elaborate lunch. I won't say any wedding lunch can compete with it. Every week they have something new. Hyatt is known for it. The chef is so good. So there is no compromise. I used to keep saying, those things shouldn't be so social. And our firesides are very interesting. Socializing, social interaction, dinners, lunches are important, but not all that important. That shouldn't take the main stage. But still, there has been no compromise. So maybe that is the reason why the subscription is like that. Thank you very much.
I request Mr. Sivadar to give away a small memento to guest speaker. I think if we ask, as the past president, Tilakar, give the word of thanks. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Good morning, friends. Usually, I'm assignment now. I'm always சொல்லிடுவாங்க. What a thanks now. கொஞ்சம் mind. But it so happened that he suddenly called me in the
Because
but
he knows the speaker.
yeah. No, not only the speaker, the subject is also very interesting. Of course, I'm also interested in that because he was mentioning about Gymnasium also. Emotional quotient basically is spiritual. Actually, and our Aravind quote basically it is spiritual. And I remember when Imran Khan was the president of the cricket team, that was a very good team, considered a very good team in the whole world. So how the team was so successful, that was asked by one of the reporters. He said, I am buying it சொல்றது நம்ம ஸ்ட்ரீட்ல விளையாடுற மாதிரி, just think that it is a international game நினைக்க வேண்டாம். Just think that it's a game played in some of our own town. So just like that, எல்லா வேலையிலும், not only in cricket, in everywhere you go, this emotional quotient is a must. அது